All right. Hey, everybody. It's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. A little later than I usually get in here, but it's okay. It's a non lifting day, not a big deal. I'm still probably getting here a couple hours and everything will be good. I am going to have to do some other posting, though, if I'm going to make that work. So I'm going to sit in here, chill with you people. We'll post in some other places. And yeah, we'll make it happen. And yeah, so I'm gonna wait for people to get in here. Obviously, people who chime in after the fact, you'll have to scroll forward just a little bit to get to all the conversations. For those who chime in later, because in the meantime, it takes these a minute. Some days, man, they kick off immediately. Some days it takes 15 minutes. It depends on when people see it. But we will obviously eventually get people in here. There'll be quite a few once some of the regulars get in. And yeah, a really big topic. Yes, I threw that in there with Michael Hearn. Obviously, Michael Hearn isn't Natty. He pretty much just trolls about it at this point. I feel like. Right? I'm not even hating. I don't even hate on him being a fake Natty at this point. He's turned it into a source of amusement. You know? Right. Besides the point, the dude is in phenomenal shape, especially for his age. I mean, in general, compared to almost most people who train, but for his age, pretty much unparalleled. So we'll give credit where credit is due in spite of that. We will give credit where credit is due. I'm going to make some posts here. Posts with the most. All right, only one person, and hit like as soon as you guys get in also. I probably should let people know we're doing a coffee chat. Let me come over and make a community tab post. Do we even need a community tab post? I don't know. No, people will see it eventually. Once people get in and they start hitting the buttons and the questions, it starts going into other feeds. So I think we're good. What do you guys think? Right. Go through hit all my other social media stuff. I'm just going to stop being nice on a lot of my social media. I feel like that's worked wonders. I'm just going to troll vegans, troll people who don't squat and deadlift everything on the Facebook. I'm going to do more of that stuff in here too. But I feel like we'll continue to just call out the fake natty nonsense. I get tired of calling people out by name though. There's a certain point when people they need to simply understand the reality of it rather than focusing on individual names. Because if you know what you're looking at, if you have a remotely trained eye and you understand these things, then you don't need to ask names. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you guys watch realistic people, you guys watch. I've seen Ben Carpenter post stuff with guys who are natty, and he's like, people have lost sight of what a natty physique even looks like. They've lost sight to the point where people need to ask, is this guy on gear when it's a guy on a lot of gear? Right? It won't even be someone who, does a small cycle a year. And the reason for that, they've lost sight of it. And the scary thing, and it's like, I wouldn't even care because, I mean, people are going to do year, right? It's just the nature of it. And it's not that big of a deal if they're conservative and careful and watch their health. The issue is all of a sudden when you show someone really good natty results, someone who maybe isn't top tier genetics for aesthetics look, who got really good, like 10 years of hard work, maybe has earned a natural pro card in bodybuilding, they will go, wow, if that's the best I can achieve, I'm not even going to bother to work out. I've seen people say stuff like that when these things get presented. They're like, so basically working out's a waste of time. Strange situation, isn't it? What's up, Dad and the boys? I just clicked over and saw your post, Dad. You're ridiculous, man. Hit that like button, though. You really need to post all over your profile about sight that she needs to be banned. That's a terrible way to flirt, brother. Just saying. Not a good way to win over a woman. Well, I saw that you put a picture up by me and it wasn't blank. I mean, that's fair. If you guys are going to be regulars in these streams, you should spice your profiles up a little bit. Put something into it, All right, I don't disagree with that approach. I think that's a good way to be. That's a good way to be. Yeah. I need help with the women. It isn't something I can tell you that's not a good way to win over women, Dad. Not a good way to win over women at all. So if we're going to be perfectly honest, but let's get some conversation going in here. The more stuff, the better. Because otherwise, I'm going to be over here posting things, which I do need to be posting things. Right? We do need to be doing that, but I digress. The boys should come soon. Who are the boys? Dad and the boys. Well, what's interesting, I see Max bringing his friends along, but they're people who are not making hate stuff. Going to be a cardio type of day. Cardio content. I think everyone is pretty well caught up on workouts. Yeah. So let's hope. One of my guys who needed to, due to a big move and having to rearrange his life for a few months, dropped. But he messaged me yesterday. He's kind of getting set up in Japan now. He's done a couple of international moves. Hopefully he's going to buy a 6-month coaching package again. That's what he had been doing. Yeah. Well, apparently his friends think I'm hilarious. The Nathan guy was like, oh man, this guy's great too. I'm entertaining in the afternoon. Yeah. Also have one of my clients who needed to quit for some medical reasons, like heart related. We've got really good results in, but he has some health issues from before. He hadn't been able to train, but he messaged me saying he thinks he almost just about got everything under control, maybe ready to start training again very shortly. So I hope he's good, mainly because he's a good guy. He's had an issue with a heart murmur. Not going to name names or anything else about the guy, but overall good guy, solid guy. And I coached him a couple of years. But he's in his 40s also. It's not like he's, a really young guy. And he's done really well to improve and work on his health, but there's a little heart issue popped up again. So it's been a little scary for him to train. And he's tried to use a lot of dietary approaches. I don't agree with all of them. And he's realized, maybe not the best approach. I think you were right. How do I put it? He went carnivore. You guys know I don't like carnivore, and it did not improve things. It over time made things slightly worse. So he's dropping that, and but I'm hoping he comes back into, but mainly because I want him to be healthy. I hope his heart issue is down. But he's a good client to work with. So yeah, I'm not coaching that many really super athletes anymore. Yeah. Oh, he wrote about you in his thing. I went to check his profile because I saw that, and he left a message about you. He needs, and I'm trying to explain to him here. You saw the thing. I'm like, this is not how you flirt with a woman, bro. This is not, And I think it's because dudes get this stuff confused when they see that women like confident, assertive men in general. Not every woman, most women. They assume, I've seen this, so I need to be an asshole. No, that's not what we're telling you at all. But then that's the route dudes will go to. I've noticed it's a strange tendency, and then they're not understanding that. No, she just wants you to be a man. Literally, just be a man. That is what they want. They want you to be a man. I don't know. Such a strange scenario today with the way guys are with this. What's up, EJ? Oh, you guys are putting up pictures. Finally, everybody getting pictures. EJ's got a picture. Let's check them out. I'm gonna go to your channel too. Go to the channel. EJ didn't put up a picture. Is that actually you, EJ? It's always better if people use their real pictures. I feel it's more authentic. I think the status is EJ too. Yeah, man. Everyone's putting pictures up. I think they should. I think that's a good trend, man. If you're going to be regulars, you shouldn't have a blank profile, man. Like spice it up a little bit. But hey, guys, there's only one like, and there's 3 regulars in here. If you guys and gals could hit the like button, that would be greatly appreciated. You guys know that, all right? Yeah, there you go. There we go. Appreciate it, guys. Also, people need to remember to follow my other social media. You guys all follow me on Facebook and Instagram? Because people will ask stuff like, what do you eat? And I'm like, I post my food every single day on Facebook and Instagram, every single meal that I eat. Yeah, I'm getting into some interesting debates. I'm really trolling more. Really, not so much trolling as giving people a hard time. I've been super chill for years, but I used to be a master troll. That came up and stuff. People like, no, Blaha used to be like the king of trolls. All right. So I'm giving the vegans a really hard time. All right. Fight feminists. I mean, there's issues with feminism. Obviously, the last wave of feminism has negatively impacted what it is to be a woman. But I mean, I don't think reasonable people have a problem with first or second wave feminism. I mean, basic stuff like, should women have the right to vote and own property? Obviously, in a civilized society. But I suppose we take that for granted. It seems obvious to us today. Maybe it wasn't so obvious. Clearly, it wasn't quite so obvious to them back then. But we've got really extreme and absurd in modern society with a lot of stuff. That's its own problem. And I've never understood. So let's talk social and cultural things here. I've never understood this thing with modern feminism with the trans rights thing, for example. Like, oh, the trans. I'm like, do you guys not understand when Fallon Fox was the first trans athlete to get in a ring? And he knocked out. Yes, I said he knocked that woman out in the first round. He whooped her ass. Feminists are up here cheering the fact that a man beat the holy hell out of a woman on international TV live. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought feminism was against men beating women. That was one of its early things. Hey, man, men shouldn't be beating their wives. Men shouldn't be beating women. And then all of a sudden, they're celebrating a man just whooping her ass on TV. Celebrating it. Now, I'm just saying, maybe we've moved a step backwards at that point. Exactly, Syke. I mean, they were celebrating a man. I mean, he knocked them out, broke their skull. She had a fracture in her skull after being knocked out by this dude, right? And they're celebrating it. Like, you just watched a woman get her skull broke by a man in a fighting ring. I mean, are we serious here? I mean, it was bad. It was not even close. Like, we're talking, it was like a round one knockout. Women's sport, but we need people like her. I mean, I have too, and as someone who's coached women who compete, I would be pissed if one of my girls had lost like a state championship or something against a trans person in powerlifting. I'd have been pissed. I would have been screaming at the top of my lungs. You know, and I mean, and it is a problem, especially let's take sports, even my sport, powerlifting, which I've done other sports, but that's been my main one. You know, we have our weigh-in rooms where you strip down naked. Like, I strip down butt naked to weigh in. I take my glasses off. I take an extra spit before I step on the scale. Everything, right? I want every last gram when I step on that scale. I'm playing to win. Like, so even the weigh-in rooms, there's no men allowed in the women's weigh-in and no women allowed in and vice versa. So everyone in that weigh-in room and the officials have to be of the same gender, because a lot of us are stripping down completely naked. Like, we're competing. Like, every gram's going to matter, and the reason we're doing that is that if you tie someone, that it diverts to weight. So if you weighed 0.1 grams less than your competitor, but you hit the same total, you beat them. Like, we're down to, everything. Win at any cost. There's you win at any cost. You win. We compete to win. Through any means necessary. Right? And even as a great colonel once said, if you're not cheating, he was talking about combat, but it's the same thing in sports. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. I'm going to turn my fan on. I turned the fan off in here. It's getting a little cool. Getting a little warmer. But yeah, I mean, we run into these issues. These are relevant topics. But, the same thing, you'll see them screaming about, women's rights. And takes, like, in the U.S., like the U.S. Universities and education is not free. A lot of women go to university on athletic scholarships, right? Like, women's sports don't pay much money, but a lot of women, they get their school paid for because they're an athlete. They win scholarships. So then when you have high school boys competing against girls, what happens? These young ladies are losing their university scholarships to boys. Okay. So again, you got to look at that and go, why are these feminists screaming in praise of this? You have young ladies who are losing their opportunity for a scholarship. And how is this exactly helping women? I am not understanding the logic here. Yeah, okay, maybe those girls could have got their education paid for and gone to university who might not otherwise be able to. But equality. You know what it really comes down to? I'm going to give you my answer. You ready? Do you want to know why the hardcore feminists support this anyways? They're willing to take a few martyrs for the cause, right? A few women get their skulls broke. Yeah, a few women lose their scholarships, but at least men are cutting their penises off. And that's the important thing. Because remember, the hardcore feminist hates men. The hardcore feminist hates men as much as people like Andrew Tate hate women. Right? I mean, it's very obvious. You look at someone like Tate, it's very obvious that he hates women. Like, he despises women. Like, you could tell it's like, this is a dude who hates women. Like, hates. Right? I think it's the same thing. I think that is what it comes down to. Yeah, they're the female versions of incels. That's my opinion. That's what I've concluded. They'll take some martyrs for the cause as long as more dudes get their penises removed. What can we do about it? Push back. There's more pushback in the U.S. I mean, but people have to push back against all this. Tell your leaders that's what you want and protest. I guess we should do what the far left does. Like that's the nightmare scenario for the left in the U.S. Sorry about that, Lars. What happens if the right wing, this is why we always say in the right, like if we were a problem, you would notice. And at this point, yes, I identify as right again. I'm moderate with right leanings. By American standards, I'm not really that far right. By Texas standards, I'm a moderate. I'm just a pro-gun moderate. But if we were a problem, you would know. And people will say, why? I don't know. We have 500 million firearms. And that's not hyperbole. There's not hyperbole. Let me be clear. I am not displaying hyperbole. In the U.S., the right wing has 500 million firearms and over 1 trillion rounds of ammunition. I mean, I have 10,000 rounds of ammo personally. But doesn't everybody? I bet you on my block there's 1 million rounds. I bet you in my neighborhood alone. So that's kind of their nightmare scenario. What if we ever decide to riot? Well, that's the end game. It's over. We ever do this crazy stuff like they do, where they march and burn cities, and like it's game over. If we ever become that way, that's the end. They're done. We don't. We choose not to. We show restraint. Exactly, and that's the point. Because we respect things like civilization, the rule of law. It's a funny thing. Texans are known for being extremely polite. Like as a society, people who come through here, like, wow, like your culture, you're insanely polite. Like it's ridiculous. Like y'all are nice. Everyone is please, hello, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. We hold doors open for women. That's our normal culture. But it's just the way that it is. But we always say an armed society is a polite society. I mean, obviously, when you get, not necessarily if you're in the ghetto, like we had one yesterday where on the Houston news, 2 women fighting in the street were fatally run over by a vehicle. Fighting out in the middle of the street. But it was very obvious that it was in the hood, And you saw the footage in the shops and, and so on. So outside of those areas, of course. But you know where those areas are. Like you know not to go there. Right? So, unless you have a reason to. And I don't know what we do about that situation either. Well, they don't control all the universities. Again, well, it's pockets. But I mean, it's very obvious when you see the dilapidated buildings and you see the graffiti is two different colors on different sides of the street. That's so example. Like if you heard of the Fifth Ward, there are rap songs written about the Fifth Ward in Houston, like gangster rap songs. So when I worked for Cameron, when I first got my job, off and on doing work for Cameron, and they were Cooper Compression at the time in natural gas. The main shop was at the edge of the Fifth Ward, and it'd been there a long time. So you get to the shop though, and it's 8 foot tall fence with Constantine wire and a guard gate to get in, right? But you look across the street from it, and you realize very quickly, you're like, we're careful if we go out to eat for lunch, we don't go to this area. But you look across the street and you realize boarded up windows. One side of the street is red spray paint, and the other side is blue spray paint. It's very easy to look at that and go, yeah, this is not a good spot. There's gang warfare with the graffiti from the different gang colors on the different sides of the street. This is like your dividing line between, where the crossfire is. It's very easy you don't just accidentally end up in these areas. And I did one day. I had a truck I had to take, and I was looking for another shop, and over near the edge of the area, and I went down the wrong street. And realized very quickly I was in the wrong street, and I turned around and got out of there. Because I look over, and there's dudes with AKs. And I look at a mural. There's a mural about 30 feet tall. So this is like 10 meters tall, of a woman of African American persuasion wearing a hijab with an AK over her shoulder, and it says "Soldier's Sister." Well, Coach realized he had probably gone down the wrong street. It's time to turn around and go find the correct shop. And that was over in the Fifth Ward. It was a beautifully done mural, but I realized this was my sign that I have come down the wrong street. It is time to skedaddle. Speaking of which, I need coffee. All right, and we are back. Yeah, you get in those situations and you realize you have perhaps wandered into the wrong part of town. And I had that happen. I was taking a defensive handgunning course when I was about 21. And the instructor, who I knew, he was one of my neighbors. He owned the facility. All right. We had a famous one come through, and he had said, look, there are places in Houston where he's like, you just got to have some common sense. He's like, I'm just going to say it flat out. I can look around the room. We have a pretty consistent pigmentation in the room. He goes, look, there's certain parts of town. This is for your defensive handgunning where maybe you just don't need to go. Have some situational awareness, because there are areas here where, due to your skin color, you'll be dragged out of your car and have gas poured on you and be burned in the middle of the street. He's like, so, you get to those areas, you look around, and if there's a crowd screaming, burn him, you might want to just drive out of there and leave rather than use your defensive handgun. It's like a little bit of situational awareness. It's reality. I thought that was a lively one. But last night was a funny one. He wasn't that famous. He has his own little stream, but he came through. He thought I was hilarious. He's like, dude, this dude's great. Yeah, I was. I was kind of on fire. Of course, he's a musician too, so he broke out the guitar. Yeah. Yeah. He was a fellow cray-cray. Of course, my band has not been meeting lately, unfortunately, which is very sad. Trying to get the guys to get together, do more gigs, more jam sessions. I think I told you guys one time what my band said. People ask, what is your band called? And it's like, then people laugh. And yes, I named the band. My band is actually called the Muff Divers. And, we voted on it. It was my idea, but they voted on it. Obviously, it was mine. Yeah. But we played mostly AC/DC and ZZ Top type stuff, so it's a good band name. It was, Coach mentioned anime. A second later, some called Anime Fan rolled in, and it was a real old, actual real profile. All right. This might sound a bit ambiguous, Coach, but how long should you intermittent fast for? Well, I do 16 to 18. I usually do up to 18 on average. I have anywhere from a 6 to 8 hour feed window. Oh no. One of my clients, I'm terribly sick, completely bedridden, no nose. Okay. Telling me to stay hydrated. All of Team Blaha know this. I'm like a broken record. No, not necessarily the longer the better. You don't ever want, no, it's not client Ted. This is a client none of you have ever seen. This is a client who's on like his 8th 6-month package from me, 8 or 9. I've had him 5+ years. Yeah. Are the international judges supposed to? No, that's not the judge's job. The loaders are supposed to do it correctly. That's the loader's fault. Now, what I will tell you, that is not a good look. It's not a good look. Going for a world record and they load the plates incorrectly on camera. Guys, I can assure you the president of the federation was chewing some butts on that one. Yeah, that hurt the sports image a lot. But isn't powerlifting is a joke sometimes? I mean, let's be realistic. Look, I like powerlifting. I think it's a great sport, but it can definitely be a joke sometimes. Yeah, the plates were misloaded. It's like, well, he missed the lift too because it was imbalance. They loaded the plates uneven. So it obviously, and we're talking a lot of weight. I mean, talking 800 pounds. This is over 350 kg, right? On a wall bench press. This would have been an all-time world record. He would have been breaking his own world record, which he's done a couple times, right? Well, when you're dealing with this sort of weight, and let's say you have 10 more kilos on one side than the other, what do you think is going to happen? Oh yeah, you're talking possible pec tear. You're talking ripping a pec off the bone level, dangerous. Those sort of weights. But keep in mind, if the spotters and loaders mess up, your lifts are red lighted. Like you don't get records. Um, Having bad shoulders, you can still learn to bench. There are things you can do, psych. But I mean, I bench pretty heavy, and I've had impingements and things. Benching doesn't bother my shoulders because I know how to bench correctly. Have we not done detailed videos, guys, on bench pressing and removing shoulder pain? Have I not done like sat down and did a 10-minute video showing literally what parts of your palm the bar should cross into to remove shoulder stress? Is shoulder pain from benching is due to people not knowing how to bench press. And if you can't figure out how to do it on a barbell, what's going to happen with other stuff? Yeah, there's general waivers. Like you're not going to be able to sue them. Yeah, best of luck. Right, you do sign stuff every meet when you go sign in. Plus, you have to have active memberships with agreements. Like you don't get to compete without an active membership. So you got to usually do that the day before the meet. You got to do the full federation memberships and everything. So, but it is about understanding things like wrist stacking, bar paths. Benching shouldn't hurt your shoulders. Again, I've got pretty highly detailed videos explaining this. The rotator cuff is not one. Which rotator cuff? Sides of both shoulders and right elbow, generally upper arm stuff. How did all this happen? Can you ask to bench or squat without spotters? No, absolutely not. Peppermint. They will not remove the spotters. Not going to happen. No. Now that would be a liability for them. This would be a possible liability. And it's rare that they mess up. But yes, if the spotters mess up and the loaders and everything, like your lifts can be disqualified. So this is interesting. Multiple injuries over years in CrossFit. Oh yeah. Yeah, people got to be careful of what they do at CrossFit. I held a generally positive view of CrossFit, but it has some problems, right? It has some issues. Yeah. Can I replace skull crushers with dumbbell overhead? I mean, you could, sure. No, CrossFit's not. Why do you guys say stuff like that? In fact, CrossFit is the opposite. Did you know that one of the bigger problems they have with CrossFit? Like if we're going to talk sexual related, do you want to know there's one of the big problems that has been noted in the CrossFit community? Think about this for a moment. You have men and women together in group setting, exercising together over a common bond in a room where people are sweating and you smell other people's pheromones and other stuff over time exposed to that. And they're all doing something that they enjoy together. Married people cheating is a massive problem in CrossFit. Like affairs has turned out to be quite a big deal. Yeah, in my town. Apparently it's a large problem, but it makes sense. Especially if their partner doesn't get involved and they're doing something they really enjoy with a group setting and meeting people, all active people. And I mean, as we all know, fit people have better sex lives. Right? As an expression many of us in the fitness world point out, fit couples have better sex. But this is pretty well understood, right? So, do you see how these things happen? Not justifying it, just saying it's how it happened. I don't really hate you, just want to have Well, my client's definitely sick. So I told him, standard thing I tell people when they have a virus, hydration is key to get back to training soon. Fluids, salts, carbs. All right. But he's like, I threw my water up at 2 a.m. It's like, well, I don't have good advice then. This doctor has to handle this one. Have a crack or crack. Yeah. But yeah, it's been guys are the hardest to teach to bench. Women you can teach to bench easy. With men, because of the ego, and I don't know how to fix this because I always tell people these exercises are so easy to perfect. But then people will people ego lift? I'm like, well, just stop ego lifting. And I just don't get it with guys. Like as a coach, as much as I think people need to be bench pressing, getting men to actually pause their bench press is one of the most difficult things I have ever dealt with as a coach. I have clients I've had for 4 or 5 years that I still can't get to pause their bench press, at least on any heavy set. They just will not do it, no matter how, and I sound like a broken record. They just won't do it. And it's annoying though when I'm doing stuff at some guy, so-and-so benches where I bench more than you, and I look at his bench and I'm like, you didn't do a bench press, dude. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because if you're going to take a contested lift, your lift better be meet legal. Like if you're going to take a contested lift and you're going to compare yourself to a strength athlete, the lift you do better be able to pass in competition. But a chest bounce is not a bench press. The dudes do this stuff, man. And I see it uploaded all the time. They bounce the bar off their chest. And then when I do a bench and count it, it's a 2-second pause. So my heaviest bench this year, count it. I hold the bar on my chest for 2 seconds. And you'll get some clown 15 years younger, right, will come in. I bench more than you. And he bounces the bar off his chest like a trampoline. Not just a touch and go, but a bounce, and then lifts his ass off the bench. Yeah, it doesn't count. If you don't pause it, it doesn't count. And it's not just for you. It's you can't count it towards a competitive lifter. Like you can't compare your numbers to them. Because we all have to pause. We're required to pause it in competition. All right. And there's 3 basic rules that you know that you done screwed up. Like if your butt breaks contact with the bench, if you don't pause it on your chest or any up and down of the bar, right? They lift more because they're using bad form. Or dudes who leverage weights they miss by shifting under them. So I called Alexander on that and he got mad. He was, I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, you can't hang with me on the squat. The only heavy squat you've done at 500 would be red lighted. It was a bad lift. And he got mad about it. How can you say that my lifts don't count? It doesn't count. And that's true of any lift. It doesn't matter. That's a standard rule in most strength sports like that. Up and down of the bar. He shifts under a weight and it dips to one side and he locks a weight that he should have missed. That is an automatic red light. That's a disqualification of your lift. If at any point during a concentric rep, either side of the bar dips like 1 centimeter, it's a disqualification. You failed the lift and shifted under it to compensate. Right. So, again. Yeah, because like my 605 squat was a hair high. I know it wouldn't quite pass in comp, even though I was using a different bar and everything. But I've also set state records. So I've been red lighted one time for depth. Hey, Benjamin, remember this conversation we had, your paralysis by analysis? Bro, you squat 40 kg. Why are we even discussing curls? Why is this even a topic? Now, if you want to do some barbell curls, do a barbell curl. That's fine. I don't have a problem with this. I get it, Benjamin. But just I want you to keep in mind that conversation we had and me giving you some tough love. I know he's being talkative. As an overall arm exercise or as a bicep exercise? You want the answer we don't actually know. Yeah, you should be sticking to just heavy barbells. You should be doing some chin-ups right now for your biceps. But here's the problem. Exercise science as it pertains to hypertrophy is horrifically bad. It might as well not be considered a real science at this point due to funding and horrible studies. You know. So here's the point. I don't know. Do we even know how to rate hammer curls versus other types of curls in terms of bicep growth? Like if you were to right now go say, I'm going to dedicate the next 24 hours of my life to doing an exhaustive search of scientific literature looking for the answer, would you be able to draw any real conclusions? Like you were to dig into every study you could find on bicep hypertrophy, would you be able to draw a meaningful conclusion to answer that statement of how to rate them? I don't think that you could. Now, we could give the obvious answer. They probably stimulate the brachialis and radiobrachialis more than a supine grip curl, possibly the biceps itself less. However, in the grand scheme of training, no, my band has never recorded anything anywhere, even on our phones. Let me be clear, my band is not actually serious, EJ. We have a jam session about every 6 months. And I love my bro who plays the bass, but he forgets to practice for 3 months at a time. Love him to death, but he says he wants to be serious about it, but he forgets to turn the bass on to pick it up or play it for 3 months straight, pretty regularly. But it's all good. It's all in fun. We have fun. We jam out. But the reason I do shoot the thrill all the way through is because we have actually sat down and done shoot the thrill. But no, it's not like a serious band. It's just fun. It's just the bros. But the point, all right, imagine pulling 500 per reps. It would unfortunately be a problem with the music for any of my social media. All right. Because people can literally buy the copyrights for your songs. Like that's why I had to remove that one song. I'll never use royalty-free music again, ever. Because someone bought the royalty-free music I was using. And then I had to remove it from all of my videos. Is it not Christian rock? I mean, I don't know. Is Shoot the Thrill Christian? We also figured out and jammed out Paranoid by Black Sabbath one time. Right? Which I haven't played in a while. I'm the only one who could do the solo. We got 3 guys who play the guitar. I'm the only one who could do the solo. It's all good. I love that music. I wish fans could have stumped money for you to buy that, right? No, it got bought. Yeah, no, bro. No, we don't do any originals. Look, EJ, I think you're overthinking the level of band that we have. You're way overthinking it. Imagine some really good bros who all happen to play instruments sitting down and saying, hey, let's jam together every now and then and just have a little band. And you do about 2 or 3 jam sessions a year. But occasionally a couple of you hang out and jam or whatever and just shoot the shit and jam. All right. We did do a Christmas show for a giant get together, but we didn't have real instruments. So, but one of my bros was there, had his bass, and he had his daughter's little Disney acoustic guitar, about yay big. So I grabbed that mofo and we busted out all the little Christmas metal tubs for drums, and we jammed out with about 25 people hanging out at a little Christmas get together for one of his friends and family, and we did Highway to Hell. With a bass not plugged in, me playing an acoustic guitar about this big, and everyone else popping the drums with just metal cans. So it was just a little bit of fun. So that was our only live performance. Our one live performance for an audience. So we're talking that level of seriousness, EJ. I think you're a little overthinking it, bro. It's all in good fun. Eventually, I might get more serious with it. But it's just all in good fun, man. That was just an impromptu thing. We're like, let's jam for everybody. What do we got? What can we find for instruments to make some music? I nailed that song on that Disney acoustic, though. Just saying. Right? I did my preliminary grade for piano, had to play in front of an examiner, hated it, made it. Dude, I always get people ask me to play when there's people coming through. What's the heaviest you've gone on dumbbell rows? I've done work such as 135 on camera with dumbbell rows. That's 60 something kg for people who don't use freedom units. It's a little, I got to really chalk up for that though to grip it. I did piano lessons as a kid, but I also couldn't hear while I was kidding. Lots of powerlifters are musical types. Very common. It's very common. I have, just out of clients that you guys know about, I have 3 musicians. Alex and Matthias literally have bands that do gigs, right? Who do vlogs. Ryan, who comes through here, pretty serious guitarist. Yeah. Trying to learn piano. Piano's not that hard, man. It's hard. I mean, unless you're trying to do really hard stuff. I played a little piano growing up. I like the guitar because it's way more diverse. Like, the guitar is the most diverse instrument we have. That's why I like it. And that's why it's so commonly used in all music types today. But it's just keys. You just have buttons, guys. There's no other techniques. Right? It's just notes. Like, once you can play all the notes, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of trills and other stuff, but they're not to the same degree. I played piano growing up. My mom was really serious. I'm not saying it's not hard, but comparatively, it is more simple than the guitar. I'm not saying, so I guess comparatively it's because I play guitar, right? So, but I like piano. I respect it. you know. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, in terms of difficulty, a variety of techniques. Yeah. Making the musicality is extremely difficult. Just as someone who's done more guitar, something like a piano feels very like locked in, like lack of freedom. I'm going to play forever. Post on YouTube. I'll support you. There you go. Just pursue music. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think everybody would benefit from learning an instrument, right? Yeah. I think everyone would benefit from learning an instrument, learning some basic music theory, you know. Is insulin the cause of the thickened bloated midsection of today's bodybuilders? It's one, definitely a massive factor, yeah. We could argue how much growth hormone and IGF-1 factors in, but insulin's going to be the primary cause. Is piano fingers a thing? What do we mean by piano fingers? Yeah, Benjamin, insulin enormous factor. Right. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it would be harder to enjoy piano having done a lot of guitar because I just you don't have the same freedom to do things with the notes to the same degree. Not saying it's not extremely technical, because it obviously is. And like with anything else, it takes thousands of hours of practice to master it. You know. Eventually, I want to have enough time to work on my guitar a lot more. Like if I were to be able to, if I had 2 hours every day just to dedicate to practice, I'd be pretty good in a year. Right. Please direct all piano questions to me, guys. I completed my preliminary exam psych as a piano poser. Right. Um, I have somewhat short fingers, I think. We need a piano riff off. Yeah, you guys are going to have to compete. How did we drop down to so few views? There's only 8 people viewing. You know what, guys? I think it's because we're talking nothing but music. It is literally nobody watching now but us. And like, I don't know. Oh man, surprised that killed the views. Oh, we got another like at least. We'll get more people in here. Not bad. Maybe come back and you get to grade 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Same lives. But don't give it up. That's the main thing. Like any other skill, you're gonna have to put some time in. You have to put some time in. And that's what's fascinating when people will come in and hate. Like, I'm actually pretty decent guitarist overall, but you'll get people who come in and hate, and I'm like, but guys, it's not my thing. It's something I do for fun that I enjoy. Right? I know that I'm not going to be the next Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix or Van Halen. Like we already know this. Hey Benjamin, I don't think anybody deserved to win the Mr. Olympia who's won it since the 1980s. Is that fair? Not one. I don't like current pro bodybuilding. I've been very, very vocal about that. Benjamin. I think modern bodybuilding is repugnant and a death cult. Right? Is that fair? I mean the downstrumming. I'm not sure what he did that was perfected. Generally, only downstrokes is most people call it very nude. You do too much of it, people will call you. Right. It's considered to be a lower skill level. Yeah, yeah. So Lars, um, you'll get hated on for that, by the way. Just saying. Yeah, he's not a great guitarist, but he's downstrumming. Yes, I know who Samir Benat was. But did he have a good physique, Benjamin? How do we define a good physique? Do we define a good physique as bodybuilding enthusiasts immersed in the culture think it's a good physique? Or if you were to show normal people or people who are newer to the gym Samir Banat, would they say, man, that guy looks amazing? I think we need bodybuilders forget this. We need a context for this. Because if we're going to call something aesthetic or a great physique, you're looking at artistic. Shouldn't normal people say, oh, that's really good? In other words, like any other art form, right? Human body being an art form. When you hear a highly skilled musician, even if you're not interested in that genre of music, do you not recognize great? Let's say you don't like blues at all, and I were to send you Stevie Ray Vaughan playing Texas Flood, you would be in awe. You're like, I don't really like blues, but then I send you that. You see where we're going with this? You're gonna be like, oh yeah, dude, that's greatness. You could not like metal. I could send you Van Halen doing his Eruption performance, and you'd be like, that is greatness. All right, Lars, I'll get you a link. Hold on. You'll see what I mean. So you may not like blues, but let me get the one. I'll get you the link of his best live performance of it. You can go watch this and you'll be like, oh, wow. Live available combo. Okay. All right. So there you go. So check that out. And you will understand. You'll come here like, oh, okay, now I see what you're saying. So you could not like the blues at all. Okay, cool. Especially the part when he puts the guitar behind his back near the end. He flips the guitar around and plugs the cord in and plays it backwards and still outplays what 99% of people could do while still singing. So, yeah, or just time stealing. So that's Texas Flood. But that's the point. So, as a non-blues fan, you could still listen to that and recognize the sheer ridiculous amount of talent. It should be the same with the physique. Will average person outside of the bodybuilding world see that person and go, wow, they have a great physique? Um, who has so Benjamin, how about you look at most pro athletes? Go look at CrossFit. Look at the CrossFit lineup. You go show right now, you show a group of men and women, the men's CrossFit game lineup. Show them that and say, do these guys have great physiques, great bodies? They'll say yes. You show them any of the Olympia lineups and ask them the same question. In other words, even pursuing looking like a bodybuilder is not going to be considered a good physique to normal people. And that's the weird thing with these bodybuilders. They're like, well, if I just go look like this, I'll attract girls. You're not. You're not going to attract women looking like that. I'm not saying being bigger or muscular won't help, but that is not a physique that most of them are going to go for. And you're going to dedicate your life and sacrifice your health towards a physique they're going to find unattractive for the most part. I work myself up to running the show like Lars and Coach, right? So my point would be, if you really want, if your goal is a good physique, don't worry about bodybuilding at all. Stay away from it. It's not going to help you. And I mean, a perfect example, Benjamin, on the internet, how many people literally hate on my physique? Yet in person, I get comments. We go to my Facebook where they're non-fitness followers. A lot of the women say stuff. Even some of the women I know on there, like, you actually have a perfect body. I've had women say, like, you're at perfect level. But if you were to say that I even had someone say that in this whole fitness community, they would be like, wow, he's lying. Oh, he's so delusional. Wow, he looks hideous. Do you see the problem? That's how detached the bodybuilding end of the fitness world has become. They have lost complete sight. They've completely lost sight of what people even care about or look at. They're completely detached from reality. So for example, if no bodybuilders followed me, I would get nothing but compliments all day long. Like, if no one involved in bodybuilding followed any of my stuff, they just went away, I would receive endless compliments. I've literally done, you guys see me get catcalled while I'm doing my runs. I've had someone stop me while doing the walks. One of the neighbors who was out trying to get in shape, and he stopped me. He goes, do you have a single ounce of fat anywhere on your body? And he's a guy my age. I still pass him out there. He's walking and stuff. And I chatted with him. He follows me now. He watches some of these streams every now and then. He thinks they're funny. But he said that. But think about, you come to the internet. That was his question. He goes, do you have a single ounce of fat on your body? And I'm out in my shorts with the fanny pack doing my walk or whatever. And we laughed about it. But you come to the internet, oh, this is a fat guy, So put that into perspective. I go to the grocery store, people ask me for workout advice. They ask me for diet advice. If I'm just shopping, if I'm doing stuff. Coming to the internet, and stuff women say is hilarious. I've literally had hey baby, you got a license for those guns, and so on. I've been catcalled like that. My calves get complimented. It's just, so it's a different world. So put that stuff into perspective and ask, when you're pursuing whatever physique endeavors, are you trying to impress the Instagram bodybuilding world? Or are you trying to impress people in real life? Because they're completely different. Completely different. So again, people need a context for reality. So that's why I laugh occasionally when people will come in those work crazy. Blaha is the most delusional person. Really, I think I'm the most down to earth, non-delusional person in this fitness game. Because anybody who's thinking that bodybuilders look good to anybody is delusional. They've completely lost the plot. They have a delusion created by a myopic, tiny subculture. And they've lost sight of that. Right, it has. And the same thing with the body fat and the rippedness, people have lost sight of how hard it is for the average person, particularly in America, to be anywhere near the body fats they pretend they reach. Right. So think about that too, Benjamin. Do you guys know any of these influencers? Do you talk to any of them about what they have to do to get that lean and stay there? I don't think people understand the eating disorders and stuff they have to develop to even be there. I mean, let's be clear. When you got fitness influencers who get to a certain body fat and they're talking about they have to take fat burners and appetite suppressing drugs just to be at that body fat. Do you not see where we're going with this? Okay. And everyone's been telling you guys this for years, Sure, taxes are high, but I don't pay for my daughter's school or health plan, something I pay 4% income tax. Wow. Yeah, and a lot of those influencers are barely $1.50, which I know because when I rolled up into that first expo, it was something else. Like that was eye opening as far as this industry goes. Like I walk in and all these dudes who are known for these physiques, I roll up in there and I'm like, I'm feeling like King Kong at this point. Yeah. They're like, wow, everybody's small. These are tiny. Like I could probably just pick you up, Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, Kai Green and stuff. The Kai Green, I mean, is obviously bigger, but he's so damn short. It's like Simeon Panda was bigger than me. I met him; he was a bit bigger than me. Definitely the arms and shoulders. Yeah. Jeff Side was the most surprisingly small person I ever saw. No, I've never tested my 400 meter. I mean, I'm sure it's up on Strava. No, I've never tested. I was really truly surprised how small Jeff Side was. Like shocked. Like really shocked. Especially after he had threatened to hit me and everything online. Just like, dude. And the reason I say that, guys, is I can't comprehend being that small. I can't comprehend for me even because he was about 165 pounds. I got down to 170 as a distance runner before I started lifting weights. And I'm just like, there's like nothing there. No, he's the same height as me. He claims 6 foot, but he was eye to eye with me. No, he's about 5'9". I'm 5'9", so he's 5'9". I put him the same height as me. So when I went there, the only influencer who was taller than me was Simeon Panda. He was about an inch taller than me. He was a hair taller, but he's billed at 6'1" online. I mean, Jeff. So if you want a comparison, Jeff had decently wide shoulders, but he doesn't have 18-inch arms. Like his arms were not the size of mine right now at that time. My arms right now are definitely bigger than his were at that thing. Most impressive mass monster, Simeon Panda. The problem is with pro bodybuilders, they just don't look big. But no, with Jeff's side, he was just so ironing board. Like from the side, there was nothing there. He's like this thick. He just like disappeared from the side. I would be bigger than that if I never touched a weight the rest of my life. I could literally just go do GPP work and run and be bigger than that. I can't visualize that on my frame personally. I couldn't do it. Like I could just stop lifting weights completely for 2 or 3 years. But I still don't feel that I would be that small. I mean, I could literally just do weighted carries and sled work and med ball throws and stuff. And yeah, I can't. Simeon Panda is the biggest dude that I recall meeting at any event ever. And I mean, sure, I'd like to say Kai Green is massive, but he's so short that I can't see him as big. I just can't. So it's the same with a lot of these current pros. So that's the thing with the modern guys are just, the same thing when like Nick Walker looks like I look at Nick Walker and go, oh, this guy's going to die soon. He's just so ridiculous, massive and thick. He's using way too many drugs. Till you see him standing next to Larry Wheels or somebody and you go, wait, he looks that thick because he's really short. Yeah. Right. See, that's what gets me is how these guys have no thickness. That's what I just don't get, So it's like, the lack of thickness, so you take someone like Jeff Side, right? His thickness is about my arm, front to back. His entire front to back is maybe the thickness of my arm from the side. He wasn't even 50% of my depth chest to back. Not even half of that. It's just like, dude, you just disappeared. These guys have, like from the side, they just don't exist. They just completely disappear. I don't know. Arnold probably had the best chest I can recall seeing. But a lot of guys had good chests in that era, but they all bench pressed, right? They all did wide grip benching and stuff like that. That's going to matter. I've never for the life of me understood why all these guys think dumbbells and machines build bigger chests. You don't have real world evidence and you don't have studies that show it either. Yeah, which that's supposed to be doing dips. Yeah, Ryan getting thick. Ryan's getting down with the thickness while losing weight. Yeah, dips are definitely good. I went back over to incline this week though, mainly because I want the extra shoulder. I feel like my delts need to come up. As I get leaner, more delt will be a game changer for me. So I'm gonna hit that incline bench again. I was really disappointed where my incline strength was yesterday too. I only got 6 reps with 225. I got to get that back up to sets of 10. I got to get to 10s again on that. Coach has to. Got to make it happen. Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. No, Gustav's not currently a client. Again, lesson learned, never run sales. Like when I ran that holiday special and people waited to hire me till I ran that holiday special, I lost all of them. They couldn't afford the reduced rate. So I've replaced all those people with people who paid normal price. No, they just couldn't afford it. So that's what I found. Anyone who waited till the sale to who came on at the cheaper rate can't afford it. So I learned a valuable lesson that many people have said. When you reduce your rates, you don't get good clients. And so I ran that whole holiday special for several months. I lost every single client who signed on under that lower price, all of them. All due to they can't afford the coaching. And I've replaced them with newer people paying full price. Right? Don't run sales. And that's the thing I've noticed too when someone comes in these comments, hey man, would you do this? Can I get a reduced price? Dude, no. Like straight up, I already know you're not going to be a good client. They're not going to be able to afford. If they're asking for a discount already, they're not going to be able to afford to be a client. So I've learned this the hard way. Like I knew that, but I gave it a try and confirmed everything that everyone says about marketing and business. So these days, I only reward really long-term people buying packages with small discounts on their packages further. Like someone who's been on 2 years buying another 6-month package, those people is different. You're rewarding loyalty because they're worth it. No, I don't think Gunter should have won anything. These guys, I don't like the modern bodybuilding dudes. To me, that's still kind of the modern. No, he didn't scam me. No, he didn't scam me. There's no problem with that. How about I don't discuss the specifics though of when any client leaves? Because again, this is client confidentiality, right? People ask way too many questions about when different clients leave. And that's actually looks really bad on me to even answer those questions. Like it makes me look extremely unprofessional to entertain people's questions like that. Like I've been warned of this, that like it actually hurts my reputation really bad to answer questions about my clients and live streams. Like it actually hurts my reputation as a professional a lot. So I mean, case in point, Rufio, let's assume that, you're out here and you became a client and we blogged. And then I told people your personal stuff later. Oh yeah. When Rufio, he had to quit because he was going through a really messy divorce with his wife and he cheated on her. You see what I mean? Yeah, dude, he was banging some other woman, and so she divorced him, and it messed with his money, and he had to drop out. And people say, "Hey, what happened to Rufio? Hey, why isn't Rufio on?" Do you see what I mean? Oh, also Rufio, he had a really serious medical issue that popped up, and then I started giving your medical details. Hey, EJ, but you can see his progress in the stuff. Hey, EJ, what's not cool to ask is, hey, man, who's Ted dating? What's going on in his personal life? Do you not understand? So, or if a client falls out, and yeah, I did kind of badmouth one of the guys a couple guys dropping out because they really pissed me off. But that's not good on my reputation, by the way. I badmouthed 2 clients who left. One of them I fired. But I also, am not going to discuss that anymore. But then I had another one, just horrible business practice. Right. And I totally mentioned, like, he's not welcome to ever come back. We will never do business again. But he was a vlogger, But by that same token, I guess it's different when someone's burned you as a business thing, and then they're out here coaching themselves. It's like, okay, see what I mean? That's a little different. No, I don't watch TikTok. I don't download the app. So, yeah, true. Yeah. Well, the problem is like one of them. Yeah, and that one I had to explain a little bit with Isaac. Like, he pulled some BS on me at the end, and we had a business agreement. And I kicked him clients. But yeah, with Isaac, him pulling the whole, and even dude Antonio called him out. Antonio went over and we called him out on his wall and his DMs. Like, he's like, dude, you're making coaching bad. Like, my other clients went and called him out. And then we had the falling out, but it's just bad business practice. He broke an agreement. And I guess that's different because that's not client confidentiality. This is a person doing bad business. And when he came in, we had my other clients held Isaac. Dude, other clients jumped on Isaac. And they screenshotted and sent it to me. He got pissed. He's like, why is Antonio blowing my DMs up? I'm like, because you pissed Antonio off, because Antonio is one of my national level lifters and you're on Team Blaha. And he didn't like it. He straight told him, he's like, you're making Coach look bad with your bullshit. Like, he straight up told him. Yeah. But the problem was, like when Isaac came to me and he's like, look, if you'll give me a reduced rate, I'll do this as PR. We'll do this stuff, because he used to have a PR agreement with Ken Body previously. He did stuff for him the same way. He's like, you can blog my stuff. He goes, so if you give me whatever, $100 off, I'll do a PR thing this way. And I promise you, I will be the best client you ever had, the hardest working, best client you ever had. He's like, because I love your stuff. I love what you do. And we had an actual agreement. Like, okay. Right. And then I could then use them for marketing. And so he paid $150 instead of $250 a month. That was the agreement. We had a business agreement. And that all this stuff would be done as PR. He'd share everything on his social media because he had, quite a few followers and other stuff. And then he pulled a bunch of BS on me. So, and kept going off program, doing really horrible lifts and maxing out with bad form on his social media off program. That's what Antonio got pissed about. Like, I gave him a certain lift. This is what you do. He decided he's going to go for a PR and would hit a PR that was a horrible form, bad form, grindy, and then upload it. That I didn't prescribe by giving him a lighter weight. It's like, That's where he got called on. I'd prescribe a bench press, and he would do that, and then he would go for a new PR over what I wrote for him to lift and bounce it off his chest and then upload it. He did the same thing on the deadlift. He pulled a deadlift that he couldn't pull and hitched it. This ugly, grindy deadlift that would fail in competition, wasn't a complete lift, and then uploads it to the internet. Correct. So yeah, Antonio didn't like any of that. He jumped all over him. Antonio's like, Coach has got me national championship, and we're over here doing real lifting, and he goes, and you're over here doing bullshit because you're making Coach look bad. No, and Antonio would be on other than reasons, and we're not going to go into the reasons why, other than Antonio can't lift heavy. It has nothing to do with anything in the gym. He can't anymore. But I don't want to give people's medical stuff, because that's now personal. I mean, otherwise Antonio would be on as a client still. But he's a character, man. But some of that's common. He admitted to some of it. Yeah. Yeah. Through no fault of his own. No. Kind of why I tell people, man, you got to be careful out there driving. There's drunk drivers and people out there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Antonio was intense. I mean, he was a character. Like, Antonio was a character. I mean, some of it we admitted the fiasco. I got pissed. Man, did I get pissed. And he doesn't mind me kind of telling that. In short, you guys see Ryan LaForte on my stuff all the time. He was the meet official and head judge at a big meet. And he's over here messaging me going, "Hey man, where's your boy?" I'm like, "What?" Like, we're calling him up here. He missed the rules meeting this morning. I'm over here texting Antonio, "Where are you, dude? They're up here ready for you to lift." He's like, "No, dude, the meet doesn't. I don't need to be there for an hour." Or, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm in bed with this girl I picked up on Tinder last night at the hotel across the street from the venue." Mind you, we peaked for 12 weeks for this beat. Welcome to Team Blaha. He managed to get to the meet before they timed out his third attempt. Okay. He didn't get to warm up. He barely got his squat shoes and singlet on and got over to the bar for his opener. He got completely out of bed and ran to the thing, having to put his singlet on as he ran there. And he managed to get to the bar before they timed him out on the third attempt. Had he not made a lift, he would have been disqualified from that meet. So he took his opener completely cold 3 minutes after getting out of bed, 5 minutes after getting out of bed. So he strained a muscle in his back. Squatting over 400 pounds completely out of bed. He only had 30 seconds left before he was disqualified for the whole meet. And we were supposed to get 500 pounds that day. That was our goal. We were going to squat 500 pounds. He had to take like 405 or 410 as an opener. So it ruined our whole total for the day. And then his back spasmed in the middle of his third attempt on bench. He was going to get a provincial record. Yeah. But his back cramped up in the middle of his third attempt for the record. So he missed that. And then he walks in and hits a lifetime PR on the deadlift. Right. He walked in and pulled like 550 out of nowhere. Just bam. He's like, I had to salvage, I had to save the day with something. Oh, yeah. He was funny. He's a funny dude. You know. And this is my point of dudes over here talking about they can't meet girls. And I got Antonio over here literally late to a meet because he's in a town he's never been in before and picks up a girl on Tinder for a one night stand the night before. You know, just saying, guys. You know. And I know he wasn't playing because every time, like I'd be doing calls with Antonio, there'd be chicks over, and it'd be like he's trying to tell, look, I'm trying to talk to my coach, you know. No, I would never do a dating app. Hey, Benjamin, why are you asking about my personal life? So, how do you know that I'm not married? So, if you don't know my current status, whether I'm single, dating multiple people, married. So if I'm married, do you think my wife would get really pissed off if I got on a dating app? Considering you don't know whatever my status is, because I don't discuss it at all. I keep my life private. See the problem with asking me questions like that? So what if I'm married and my wife is in the stream and I say, well, yeah, dude, I totally want to try some dating apps. Would you be causing me a divorce? So do you know what my relationships are? You have no idea because I tell you guys, I don't tell you. Or what if I was engaged right now and you'd be asking me something like that? You see the problem? So again, I don't discuss my personal life like that. No, I could say you shouldn't be asking me stuff like that. But I've told you guys, dating apps are for losers. Like if you're over to using dating apps as a man, you're already scraping the bottom of the bucket. Like, no offense, guys, but you're already in a bad situation. If you're resorting to dating apps as a man, this is problematic. And sure, could I be in a place one day where that might happen? Maybe. But, I hope I'm not ever in a situation where I need to use a dating app. I'm kind of hoping that never happens. You know, like, and before you guys say, but all guys use them, no, they don't. They actually don't. There are plenty of guys out there never use dating apps. They don't need them. And from what I'm seeing, they're insanely difficult. From what I see from dudes writing online about the difficulties with dating apps, they sound harder than just going and meeting women. They sound really difficult. They sound really, really difficult. With a very low success rate. You know? Yeah, so I don't think so. Might be interesting to do one as a case study one day if I ever start giving relationship advice just to see how bad it is and to tell guys, yeah, you got to stay away from these things. You know, but that would be my first. Like, if you guys really wanted real dating advice, first thing I'd be like, get off the damn dating apps. You need to develop some hobbies and interests and create some depth to your personality and interests. You know, because same thing. So, are you guys looking just for a fling? It seems like things like Tinder are for one night stands. That's the whole point. But as far as dating on these dating apps, yeah, probably not. But I always ask dudes, so what are you going to do in a relationship? Like, if you're not looking for people with common interests, like actual real common interests, what are you going to do in this relationship? What are you going to do together? Like, what are you going to do after the sex? You know, what are you going to do after the sex? Sleep, exactly. So if you're not going to have any activities, you're just, well, I just want a girl so I can have sex. Well, just go get a hooker. Pay a prostitute. If that's all you care about, you don't need a girlfriend. And you're also misleading anyways. If all you care about is the sex, you just want somebody to bang. Why are you wasting somebody's time? Why are you wasting their time? So, what are your interests and hobbies? What are you going to do together with this person? All right. Hence the problem of why when guys go, I don't think it's a problem for me to have these nerdy hobbies that women don't like at all if they don't care for it at all. Yeah, it is a problem because you're going to be spending your time doing that. You know, so unless they enjoy the same video games and they're multiplayer and you can play with them, see where we're going with this? And people say, well, you don't, but have you ever seen good marriages? Really happy, good marriages They do a lot of stuff together. They spend a lot of time together. Actually, they don't live 100% separate lives. Pretty involved in each other's lives. Not saying they don't have their own circles of friends, but really happy long-term married couples, their lives overlap tremendously. So, I'd ask guys, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're looking for? And then if you have shared activities, those shared activities and social circles around them give you opportunities, to meet women with similar interests. But dudes, you're over here thinking, oh, well, my goal is to bag a hottie. So it's like, here's the thing I would ask you. And I'm not telling you to get with a woman who you find unattractive. It's not what we're saying. But realistically, I would say to a lot of guys, if you could choose right now, if you're a single dude and you're looking for a relationship, if you could find a woman who you thought, she's just cute, she's not hot, she's cute, she's okay. And I'm not trying to be that way, but you had tons of things, shared activities, same shared values. She brings peace to your life, minimal drama to your life, shared values, shared interests. Would you take her over a super hot girl who you have nothing in common with and who brings drama and other problems? Which one do you pick? If you're going to put a ring on it. All right. If you're gonna wife it up, which one you picking? At that point, being hot is just bonus. Those are bonus points. I think I would take the super hot girl, be able to change her. The thing is, a nice woman with common interest is good without. Well, I'm not saying unattractive, Lars. I'm not saying unattractive. But what I mean is, dudes are over here trying to just get the hot girl with nothing in common. I'm not saying no physical attraction. I'm not telling you to go date an ugly girl. But what's also fascinating, to me, yeah, I mean, a 7 out of 10 versus that. How about even a 6 out of 10? What if she's a 6? That's still above average. What if she's a 6 out of 10? Joel, and you have all those other qualities. She's going to become more beautiful to you also with a lot of that. Right? In that case, I take the 7. Exactly. So there we go. Well, 6 is pushing. So let's go to 7. So let's take 7 out of 10. And that's fair, Lars. So you have a girl who's a 7 out of 10, brings peace to your life, extremely high overlap of lifestyle, values, interests, and particularly values. Over a 10 out of 10 who's drama and nothing in common with. I'm not talking about for a one-night stand. I'm talking long-term possible marriage. Exactly. you know. Yeah. Listens in when you're talking about right, you know. So, and I mean, the other thing I always find fascinating as someone who observes the fitness world, as someone who observes the fitness world, and I'm not trying to be mean, all these dudes think that if they get this amazing physique, they're going to get all these women, right? Do you guys ever look around? Like, just look close. Because, I mean, dudes are super judgmental about how women look. Super judgmental. How many dudes out there who are fitness models or serious physique competitors who you dudes are like, wow, they got an amazing physique, have a 4 out of 10 girl or a 3 out of 10? I've seen a hell of a lot of them. Something, just a little side note on that. Those perfect abs and perfect bicep insertions, you know, what's it doing for them? But hey, maybe she's a really great girl, and it could be. There's something that attracted her to them, you know, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I've seen plenty of dudes who have these phenomenal physiques who their girlfriend or wife is less attractive than any girl I've been in a serious relationship with. You know? And I'm not judging, I'm just saying. So dudes have got some interesting ideas in the fitness world sometimes. So clearly getting that perfect physique and winning men's physique competitions and stuff, not necessarily getting these dudes, these hotties that dudes think they're going to get. It's clearly not working out. You know, looks aren't everything. Well, I agree, Benjamin. But you see the point I'm going with. When dudes get these ideas that if they just get this physique, right, that's necessarily what all the hot women are going to want. But I would also look at that and say, so what is it that this guy who's that dedicated to his fitness, he's still seeing something in this woman? It's got to be something he's seeing. Maybe she's beautiful to him. She might be. Maybe he thinks she's gorgeous. You know. Mhm. So that was just a little side note, just worth noting. Yeah, but that's kind of the point, man. Dudes are out here looking for women, but I'm like, so what are your common interests? Like, what do you have in common with them? Right? How much do your lifestyles overlap? Conversation worth having, right? How much do your lifestyles overlap with them? Yeah, we do a coffee chat for a couple hours in the mornings, Nathan. It's a cardio day for me though. I got to probably run and then I'll get a GPP session in. Probably right. I don't know if I really am going to run today. I might run Saturday. Right. Physique is overrated. I think as long as you aren't fat and have a lean face, yeah. I'm not saying women don't care about your body, but I think going to extreme, women don't care for it. You know, and I think dudes forget that online. Like I know women who, friends of mine and stuff who are like, think I carry too much muscle. They're like, I'd be scared of you if I didn't know you. Because again, context of real life versus the way the internet perceives you, that people meet, they're like, oh wait, you're way bigger than we thought you are. You're a fucking monster. No, I think we need cardio. How do you get a leaner face if you're already lean? And I don't know, man. Could be an issue. Joel, there's a lot of factors. Are you holding water in your face? Is it some aspect of your diet causing the inflammation? Is there something going on there? No, I do. I'm big on cardio. Could be water. I mean, I get dudes who it's their drug stack. Dudes who are in good shape and they're like, they get the puppy face, like, it's your drugs. No, we should be doing cardio. It's good for health, especially at my age, guys. Right? No, so your Natty's not that. No. Keep in mind, my mother died at 47 of heart-related issues, and I'm about to turn 49. I do my cardio, guys. We do cardio. All right. Well, Nathan's a musician. Yeah. Maybe I should reduce. It could be, Joel. It could be an aldosterone issue. Maybe shift your sodium to potassium ratio. Maybe you might need more potassium in your diet. All right. So get more potassium in. Maybe cut the sodium out a bit. Should we jam for a minute? We got Nathan in here. Nathan, you're gonna have to play some guitar and upload it and send it over too, man. And Lex, you're good to go. Yeah, pretty much, Benjamin. Let's see. I haven't touched the guitar yet today. My fingers are still cold. What do we got? All right. Everybody know this song? I want to tell you a story about a woman I know. You guys know this song, right? Of course, you can't hear all the pinch harmonics without an amp plugged in. They sound way better on the Les Paul. I can't play the Les Paul sitting down with the chair at the arm. Right there. Unless we want something bluesy, right? Yeah, play a little blues for a minute, then I'm gonna put it up. Let's see. All right. Yeah, dude, I love my Les Paul. It's my favorite guitar. You should check it out. Oh. Let's just see her up close. This is Vanessa. She's a dirty, dirty girl. The problem with playing unplugged in, we've tried this before. The whole mic setup, even with my Blue Yeti going through this platform live, it just destroys the audio. It's you can't even hear it correctly. We've made this mistake, so I pretty much have to do them on like pre-record them and then upload them, which I've done. So the problem is the lives there. Yeah, SGs are great too. For me, yeah, the Gibson necks just feel way better. I wish I could play a Strat as well as I play a Les Paul. But yeah. Well, my first real guitar was a Gibson. So, and then I didn't play for 20 years and then picked it back up a few years ago. But it's a really good story. So I had been learning on a really cheap and taking a few lessons and stuff. I've been learning on a really, really cheap, like $50 guitar. My parents bought me because I want to learn the guitar. And so they got me this, like a $20 amp, a little $50 guitar for like one of the shops, just to get sort of like, well, wait on this. And then I did this for over a year, right? I'm like 13 at this point. Well, it's not really much difference between acoustic and electric. Yeah, so it's like basically like a Walmart special, right? And actually, I think the brand was called a Harmony. Actually, yeah, it was horrible. And so I had a budget then. My parents said, well, you do this money, whatever, mowing yards and other stuff. So we've got $350 in cash. And we had the big guitar convention was happening in Houston. Right? Big guitar convention. So I go to this guitar convention. And I got $350 in cash. And I'm going through the different shops and I'm looking at one of them. And this older guy, he must have been in his 50s. He was a shop owner, had a bunch of guitars up there, and I'm looking at stuff and saw my age and playing some of them out. And I told him, yeah, I've been playing about a year and I've got a bit of money and I'm ready to try to get a real guitar, so I'm here. My dad brought me up here. And so I pick up and there's this Gibson Flying V. It's red. Now, I don't know, it's been sanded and repainted and it's a little bit old. And I pick it up and start playing it. And he's like, oh, well, you're doing pretty good for 13. And I said, yeah, wow, I like this guitar. And he's like, well, were you interested in buying it? And I said, I don't know. I think I got enough for this guitar. I don't know how much because it didn't have a price tag listed on it. And he's just selling guitars. And like I said, he was in his 50s, maybe 60 years old. And he says, well, what do you have? And I told him, well, I don't think I have enough for it. And I said, I have $350 on me. And he looks at me and he says, I'll give you that guitar for $350. He sold me that guitar and I pulled up my $350 and had a hard case and everything. So my first real guitar was a Gibson Flying V, painted red. And then I got a decent amp from a pawn shop, at that point. So yeah. Yep. I found a used Fender tube amp that still managed to work and went and got a distortion pedal to go with it. And yeah. Considering the repainting and everything, it was still probably used, probably worth over $1,000. I bet it's probably $1,000 guitar at the time. Yeah. But I think the thing is, it shows the story of this guy. This guy's a real musician and guitarist and has a guitar shop with a bunch of used and vintage guitars and stuff. And there's this 13-year-old kid, man, trying to buy his first real guitar, who's been taking some lessons, and he's just like, do you think you would have enjoyed? I totally enjoyed studying philosophy at university. I have 12 hours of philosophy. I made A's in all of it. I took 12 hours of philosophy. So yeah, but that old man, I mean, he's just like, you know what, just kind of helping the next generation, you know, the musicians and stuff out, so it was just a cool thing. Yeah, I went to a pawn shop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a moment's heartwarming, right? Yeah, it was just cool. But you see that. That's just. But I think the thing too is not just heartwarming. That's how do we put it? That's someone who loved his art, right? That's someone who loved his art as a musician and as a guitarist. Probably had a lifetime of doing it. I mean, he had a vintage guitar shop. You know, and just loved his craft and says, well, there's you got to help the next generation out. In your opinion, do you think university? I mean, good question, Benjamin. We get into a deeper philosophical question there, Benjamin. What should it be versus what was it? The problem is that what university used to be versus today has changed and been marketed. University was never about a job before. Universities used to be for wealthy families to send their children to broaden their horizons. Before we got into the technical side. The problem is that it's been marketed. I would honestly say taking out a loan to get anything that's not a money-based degree is really silly, to be fair. All right. We shouldn't be subsidizing student loans, and people shouldn't be getting big student loans. It shouldn't be a thing for jobs that are not going to be money. In other words, if it's not a science and engineering, something like that, no, we shouldn't have this whole student loan system at all for that. If you can't afford a humanities or arts degree, your family can't straight pay for it, you shouldn't get one. Okay. Right. But if we're talking technical and science degrees, that's different. But here's the problem. So here's what essentially got marketed to people, and the whole generation bought into this. People saw wealthy families, their children all got educations, these higher education. So people assumed that was the key to their wealth. And it wasn't. It was a sign of, I have such an affluent family that I can afford to send my children over to another land to go to a school and not work and get this degree that I pay for because we're so rich. It was a status symbol. But people assumed, that was the key to their wealth, was the fact that they got a liberal arts degree or a humanities degree. Right. Right. And the problem is, and that's become a scam now. No, they're not useless. For you shouldn't be taking out a loan for those. Absolutely not. Absolutely should be taking out a loan. Is learning useless? No, learning's not useless. If you want to study philosophy or English or whatever, that's not useless. I mean, education is of personal intrinsic value. The problem is when people pay money that they don't have for it. This is a problem. Right. But again, in this case, you're talking gifted students getting this stuff paid, but definitely not the average person. But the problem we then run into is people taking out subsidized student loans. and then you can't default on those loans because of the subsidization. Well, and so then what happened with the universities? They turned it into an expensive business. They way overcharged. Look at the price of textbooks. You really telling me that textbook is worth $200? $300, $500? It's a book. And turned into a business. Some are money makers, most are not. Are they enough for you to run up $1,000 in debt? $100,000 in debt for though, Joel? Just saying. Stuff to think about. The problem is that we allow 18-year-old kids to take out loans of this degree. And they have to be no default because our tax dollars are subsidizing them. They're government subsidized. They're making a decision like that at 18. And the universities prey on it. Right? This is a business. So there's problems with this entire system. But then people say, well, government, yeah, but we're spending our money. Our government has a debt that it will never pay off, and it's accumulating. We're literally selling it off. We're almost at a point where there may come a point where we simply need to dissolve the U.S. and reform it. And then at the rate things are going, if that happens, it's going to be the armed people who do it. It's going to be a right-wing state. I'm just telling you how it is. If that happens, they may have to do it just to dissolve the debt and rechange the corporation. Like, that's honestly a real conversation, philosophical and political conversation to have. Do you have a revolution just to get rid of the debt? Well, that corporation has been dissolved. Its debts are gone. Do clients. Hey, Joel, considering the sheer number of clients I've had, what do you think the answer to that is? And I'm giving that it may sound facetious, but as a serious answer. Considering I've had online since I've been doing the coaching business, I've had over 200 clients who've got at least a minimum of a month of coaching. Over 200. Do you think I ever have clients question any of my programming decisions? What's the obvious answer? I guess common's a relative term. How do we define common? How frequently do we need it to be common? 1 in 5 clients, 50%. Like, what's our number? What's common? All right. And is it a different based on age? Per age bracket, I could say. Guys in their 20s, it's probably 50%. Guys in their 30s, maybe 25%. Guys in their 40s, almost non-existent. So guys in their 20s, probably 50% is probably pretty accurate. Yeah. 23-year-old will argue with his coach. You have to handle each situation differently. All right. How do you handle every situation differently? I'm more lax about it when business is slower. If I got a wait list for clients, how do you think I handle it? Like, these days, I have coaching slots open all the time. So how about when I literally had a wait list and was turning away clients? That's real easy. I can get rid of you and replace you with someone who will follow the fucking program, who actually wants results. You know, I'm just saying. I get away about one F-bomb per stream. You know. So I like studying and learning, but mostly the subjects I'm interested in are arts and humanities, some kind of stuff. You know. In this economy, I'm more lax about it because, you know, I can't just be firing clients over that. I could use the business, honestly. But when business the economy was booming and I had more clients than I knew what to do with, I literally didn't have time for it. I'm like, I can't financially afford to keep you on as a client. If they were that way, I just cut them loose and replace them with the next person on the wait list waiting for my coaching. I don't have time for it. You know. So I'm way more chill about it. But if my outreach picks back up, I'm gonna have to go back to being that way because I can't waste that time with people. I just can't. Either they're there to get results or they aren't. You know, either they want to squat 500 pounds or they don't. So you know, I guess it varies. All right, guys, I do need to wind this down. The sun is up. I need more coffee. You need the bathroom. I'll do some more stuff later. Love you guys, and I'm out.